Hello, I'm Rick Lewis with Phenom Hoop Report, and on today's special segment of Coach's Corner, not only do I have one of the winningest coaches of all time in North Carolina, I also have one of the greatest coaches of all time at any level, whether it's high school, college, or the collegiate level. Coach Freddy Johnson has won 1,080 games, only 300 losses for a 78% winning percentage. He is also a member of the North Carolina Hall of Fame. In February of 2020, Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame recognized Coach Freddy Johnson with the prestigious Morgan Wootten Award for Lifetime Achievement in Coaching High School Basketball. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. I really appreciate you having me on today. And our friendship over the years has meant a lot to me. I don't think many people know that you also were a coach at one time, coaching AAU basketball, and I will compliment you again. You're one of the few AAU teams I used to go watch play on purpose to learn something. And you did a great job coaching those kids, and that's when we started our friendship. And I've enjoyed learning stuff from you and being a friend of yours.
Thank you so much, Coach. And the feelings are mutual. Coach, 43 years ago, you were named the head coach at Greensboro Day, and a year later, you were named the athletic director. In your wildest dreams, did you imagine you would still be at Greensboro Day and have the success you have today?
You know, Rick, it's kind of like I tell my wife, it's kind of like a dream, because to get the opportunity to volunteer and work there my first year, and then fortunate enough that the athletic director left and he was the basketball coach and he recommended me for the job. No, I never thought I would coach 43 years, but it's been a fantastic 43 years. I could not have worked for better headmasters. I could not have been at a better school for myself. And I just love going to work every day. And the last 8 weeks have been very difficult on me because I have not been able to see the kids and stuff.
Well, your resume is unbelievable. You've won 11 state championships. You have 1,080 career wins. The awards are endless, but in 2015 and 2017, you took Greensboro Day to the GEICO Nationals, formerly known as the Dix National High School Tournament. You were playing on the big stage. What did it mean to you and Greensboro Day to play on national TV and play with the very best teams in the country?
It was a great experience for our kids, our school, and our community. I'm fortunate. I've had good players and and very good assistant coaches, and to have that opportunity to go up there, that was an experience of a lifetime. I mean, it is a first-class event, and you get on the big-time stage. You're on ESPN, and we are actually Friday night. We're playing our IMG game, which we upset the number 2 team in the country that night, and we're actually going to play it on our system at school, YouTube at school, for our community to watch again.
Wow, that must have been a great experience. And also during your course of time, you've had such success, but you also were named the coach in the Jordan Brand game and also the prestigious McDonald's All-American game. What did those honors mean?
I had a friend of mine who told me at the McDonald's game just to sit there for a second and look around and enjoy the moment. I tried to really enjoy the moment. The greatest thing about that, I was able to take Steve Shelton and Jeff Smith, my 2 assistant coaches, with me. It meant the world to me, but it's a compliment to my entire program and our culture and all of my players, and I have to thank them and my assistant coaches who put me in that position to be there. And the Jordan Brand game was a wonderful experience, and I got to learn from some really good players, stuff they do in their program. I ask a ton of questions to coaches because I use it as a learning experience to make myself better.
Well, at the McDonald's All-American game, it was played in Chicago Stadium where the Chicago Bulls play. So It must have been a very nice experience playing and coaching in front of a sold-out crowd.
Yeah, it was. I mean, to sit there and look at that crowd, and you walk in and you're able to spend time with the people. The strangest thing about coaching that game was the fans sat right beside you.
Right.
So I had a fan right beside me, and I know you watch the NBA games, you see that. That was probably the most unique experience I had. But it's such a good experience to have. I know you had a coach on South Meck 2 weeks ago who was coaching in that game. I probably
Right.
should give him a call and tell him about my experience, because it's experience. You just got to enjoy it. I mean, and those kids were great to deal with. The McDonald's people put on a first-class event. The same thing with the Jordan game. The Jordan game was really special for me. A lot of my friends were up there, and I got to spend time with them, and they got to come to the game too.
Well, I got to enjoy it as a parent when Tyler was selected the year before at the McDonald's All-American game. But I remember watching that game and watching you on the sideline. That was a treat to see, you coach at that prestigious game, because, we had some nice battles back and forth when Tyler was at Forsyth Country Day.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Coach, in the 43 years that you've been there, you've impacted the game in so many different ways. What are some of the greatest moments you've enjoyed as a coach?
No, my biggest enjoyment is to see the players grow up and see them graduate, and then have them come back and see me, and the phone calls I get from them, going to their weddings and stuff, and sharing all the good things. As a coach, I mean, I've got to share the good and the bad with them. And I think if you talk to my players, I think they'll tell you they know how much I love them as people, and that how special they all are to me. And I feel like I have 15 kids added to my family. And I think that experience for me has been wonderful, because I've got to know so many different people in my lifetime. And I've got to do something. You said 43 years. Who would have thought, same school, 43 years? There are not many of us who do that. And I just feel lucky that I have been able to do this. The support I've had from the administration and my family is special.
Well, you mentioned that in the 43 years, there's some goods and bad. What's the most difficult thing or the hardest part of coaching in today's culture?
Boy, in today's culture, the most difficult thing is, I think, unfortunately, parents have become difficult. I think that as a young coach, I would tell them that'd be the biggest advice. They need to establish a type of philosophy and how they're going to deal with parents. I think that's really changed in today's culture. I think also there's position. There's no positions anymore in basketball. And everybody's so hung up. I'm a 1, I'm a 2. I think Pittsburgh lost their point guard this year because he said he was a 2, and he transferred from Coach Capel's program. And when I was reading that article, it almost made me feel sick inside, because, you're a basketball player. You're not a position. And unless you're 7 feet, you're not a center. And unless you're just a pure point guard, everybody is the same. And you're a basketball player. And coaches, I got a chance to spend some time talking to one of the Duke assistants and Kentucky assistants last week. And we discussed, recruiting, what they're looking for, and how they deal with this. And so we're recruiting basketball players, period. They're not looking at the kid while he's a point guard. They're looking at the kid while he's a basketball player. And that's the hardest thing, because these parents are listening to people who don't know, who have never coached a game, who are all of a sudden are the experts in the game. And I think that's hard. And for us, you got to get to know their workout coach, their AAU coach, and it's a family, but you got to all be on the same page to help the kid.
Another thing you hit on, you mentioned the parents aspect of it. And what a lot of them don't understand is, with college coaches, they pay attention to how the parents act and behave in the stands. Because
I will assure you, let's just take the Jordan and the McDonald's game, when the pro scouts would call me and ask me about the kids, they asked me if I had any contact with the family and what it was like. And when these college coaches call about my players, that's a question they're asking you.
Absolutely.
Because they want to know, hey, what is their family like? How is it dealing with the family? Are they supportive? Are they the type of parent who's going to send you a text or call you all the time and stuff? So they don't really, and they're watching them in the stands. I mean, they are literally watching that parent, because in this day and time, they can't afford to make a mistake. and bring a kid in who's not have a good who does not have a support system.
Well, there's an old saying that, with college coaches, your production better be greater than your problems. And, a lot of these coaches are paying more attention to it because, let's just face it, today there's more scholarship players than there are scholarship spots. So they can be very selective and choosy unless you're the elite player that goes to McDonald's or the Jordan Brand games. But for the most part, that's a very few percentage of players that exist out there today.
Correct. If you're a McDonald's All-American or you're in the Jordan game, then they'll give you a break, or if you're 7 feet. But if you're an average height and a good player, they're going to look at all that stuff. Absolutely. They want to know who you're hanging around with, who your girlfriend is, how you're doing in the classroom, et cetera. Now, I think the sooner people will learn that. And the other big thing is, to me, well, you might be able to play at a high major, but are you going to be able to play like you would at a mid-major? Are you better off playing 35 minutes a game at a mid-major than playing 10 minutes a game at a high major? Because so many kids and parents want their kids at a high major school, and that might not be the best fit. And you can look at, what do we got, 800 transfers right now in the transfer thing, and 800. Can you believe that? And if the NCAA passes this rule May 20th that you can transfer without sitting out, it's going to be like the Wild Wild West out there, because and high school seniors are going to have to sign in the fall, because in the spring college coaches are going to be recruiting transfers and fifth-year players who are grad students, and I think that's going to change. And unfortunately, too many kids are leaving schools.
I think you hit on a good point. I do think it will change in one direction, is you'll see more and more players sign early, because if they don't, they're going to get caught up in the game of, well, we'll just recruit a transfer versus recruiting a kid out of high school.
Correct.
Now, Coach, like I said before, 43 years at Greensboro Day, 1,080 wins. But more importantly, at Greensboro Day, you have an impeccable reputation for academics. It's a private school. The academics are very tough, very stringent. How are you able to, year after year, maintain the balance between the academics and the basketball?
I have a great support system at Greensboro Day with our teachers, and our teachers do a wonderful job of communicating to me if a player or athlete on another team is struggling. And I require them to do their work in the classroom first. So if you talk to any of my players, they're going to tell you they don't do the work in the classroom, they don't practice, or they don't play. And so that's just my reputation. When you come in, they know that's what's going to happen. And I think that's helped our program, because I think if you're doing your work in the classroom and you're taking care of what you need to take care of, you're also a much more dependable player on the basketball court. And my guys will tell you that the academics comes first every time.
Sorry about that.
All right.
Coach, you built a reputation nationally. If you could change the game, if you had a magic wand, what changes would you make in the game today?
Shot clock would be the first thing I do. I think we're past the stage. Last year we played Hoggard High School, a public school from Wilmington, with a shot clock.
Right.
And it was great. And you were nice enough to let me borrow your shot clock. And I'm going to tell you, we're past the time we need this. We need the shot clock now. And I wish we could go on and vote on it and get it taken care of in every state, because that's my biggest thing. And truly, the shot clock is going to help your defense. If you're a good defensive team, it's going to make you better. People talked about the clock with Virginia. Well, God knows, can you imagine trying to score on Virginia in 20 seconds? I mean, and it's hard to score on them. And another coach, Wes Miller, I think does one of the best jobs of using the shot clock on defense, because he presses full court, and most teams don't get it across half court to 8 seconds. And it was great. They just recognized him as the under 40, the top coach in the country, under 40 the other day. So, and he deserves it. He's really had done a good job at UNCG.
Well, I agree with you on the shot clock. People don't understand that the shot clock will reward the teams that play better defense. Because, and if you look at even Virginia, and I've had this discussion with someone else the other day, everybody says they play a slow down type of basketball, but they have as many offensive possessions as some of the teams that maybe score more points. The problem is the other team is having a more difficult time to score. They're taking more time off the clock.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it helps the defense. Plus, it does help speed the game up. I mean, I think you want to have teams holding the ball, which the only thing I don't like in college, they did away with the 5-second count. Because they can sit there and drive. I wish they would call that. And I'm hoping in 2 years they will have a shot clock. I really feel that we're headed in that direction.
I agree with you. And I don't think it really changes the game as far as you're not going to have that many shot clock violations.
Mm-hmm.
I do think where it really changes is at the end of a game, end of a quarter. If you do have a lead, it will prevent those teams from just holding the ball. Right. It makes it more exciting too.
Yes, and I'm we played with one at Dick's, and it was a great experience to have it. I think it went off the first year we were up there once. Second year, I think it went off 2 or 3 times. It doesn't really go off. So, I mean, kids are shooting the ball. So,
yeah. Well, Coach, I've often labeled you the Dean Smith of high school basketball. Your teams play unselfish, and they play so well as a team. But you've had so many great individual players over the years. How do you get them to buy into the team concept?
When kids come to our school to visit and want to attend Greensboro Day School, we make sure academically they can do the work, and we discuss what our culture is. And our culture is a team. It's from November 1st to March 1st, we are a team. And all season we'll improve you individually. But we have gotten them to buy in to that culture. And I think that's the reason we've been so successful. I mean, we have kids who've averaged, we had 3 new kids last year who transferred in who averaged, I think it was 87 points, all 3 of them together total. And of course, none of them scored that because I returned Cam Hayes and Carson McCorkle, who are 2 of the best players in the state. And so they had to learn to share the ball, and they have all balled in. And that's the kids. I mean, that's my players. That's not me. They buy into it. If they don't buy in, we're not successful with it. So.
But also it helps prepare them for the next level. And right. I think that's why college coaches like recruiting players that play for Freddy Johnson and Greensboro Day, because number one, they know the kids are going to be doing things the right way on and off the court. They're going to be academically enhanced as well. But more importantly, they buy into playing as a team, because when you get to the collegiate level, it's all about team.
It is. I listened to the podcast John Newman was on last night, and he talked about the schedule we play, going to Dick's, the academic study halls we have, the practices against we have 5 or 6 D1 players on our team, and how when he went to college, he was so prepared. Of course, it took him a year to get into the Clemson lineup a lot, but he said he learned so much in high school and he was ready for college. And I think that we do prepare, because I have one of the top defensive coaches probably in college or high school, and Jeff Smith, and he has built our defense. And then I've surrounded myself with other coaches that have helped me, whether it's our video guy, Colin Smith, or Jeremy Spadell, who does our leadership stuff, or my son, Robert, who keeps me straight most of the time, and he does a lot of our scouting, and Andre Miller. So I've been lucky to surround myself with good people who are not yes people. They'll tell me if I'm doing something wrong, and I'm fortunate in that aspect.
Well, as we all know, Jeff Smith wakes up in the stands, right?
Yes, that's his. And the bad thing is his 5-year-old daughter's doing that, so we're in trouble. So, but she's going to be a cheerleader, I tell him. So.
Well, Coach, last year you went 31-5, and you lost to Cannon in the semifinals of the state championship. Right. But you had a great nucleus coming back. I know you lose Carson McCorkle, and you also lose Cam Hayes, but you do return Brock Williams, Jaden Young, Bryce Harris, who I think is one of the most aggressive, big-time motor players in the state of North Carolina. You have those 3. You also have 2 transfers coming in. You have Tyler Lundblade from Texas. I've watched the video on him. He looks like a tremendous perimeter shooter. And you have another big-time shooter coming in, Michael Zioni, who's can really fill it up as well. So you have a nice blend to compete again for the state championship.
Yeah, but we feel good. Last year, Cannon School, who's extremely well coached, and I thought Shea probably coached his best basketball at the end of the year last year. His teams were so prepared for us in Charlotte Latin in the finals. My hat's off to him. He works really hard. He does a really good job. Yes, we're excited about our returning players. We have a good nucleus. Jaden Young is one of the top sophomores in the state. And you're correct. Bryce Harris he just gets better and better. And his motor is something else. And we are excited to have Tyler and Michael join us. They are two big-time shooters. And I think that, they're going to add a lot to our team. And we have some other young players that are really good, Jackson Noble, Cam Lee, and et cetera. So,
well, you always have a system that you play a lot of guys. You keep them fresh, but I think the most important thing is when they come in, they're going to play defense.
Yes, that's something we are known for, our defense. And I think we played some games last year. We had one team that did not get the ball across half court, but twice in a quarter. And a lot of it had to do with our defense, which Brock Williams was by far our best defensive player last year, and he is unbelievable on the basketball.
He's one of the best on-ball defenders in the state, regardless of class.
By far. People talk about his scoring, when he came to us, but honest to gosh, yes, he can score, but what he can do is guard, and he's probably one of the nicest young men you could ever coach.
Yeah, and also when you're talking with college coaches, especially when you talk about players that are under like 6'1", it's not the scoring that's going to really attract them to a particular player. And you've talked to a lot of college coaches, and I have too. The main question is when they're talking about a sub 6'1" guard is who can they defend?
Yes, they want to know if they can guard and who they can guard. And I think that's one thing you were talking about what college coaches ask. Their first question almost all the time is what type of kid they are and then who they can guard.
Right.
And they don't ask me what position they can play, but you play who you can guard. So if you're a Jaden Young who could guard, honestly, 1 through 5, he could guard, and have someone like that, they're much more valuable for that college coach because you got so many ball screens and stuff, and so many switches now in basketball that it's such a different game now.
Well, you mentioned Jaden Young. I think he's going to be probably one of the top sophomores in the state of North Carolina. He has a great frame, good size. He can defend. And like you said, he can guard multiple positions, but he can also play on and off the ball. But he's just a perfect complement to the players you already have.
Yeah, what everybody does not know about Jaden last year, he was hurt most of the year and played hurt. And the good thing about the virus for him is he's been able to get stronger and work out and heal. And I think you're going to see an entirely different Jaden Young. I mean, he was really good for us last year, and I expect him to really step it up and be much better this year. But he's one of our leaders of our team and one of our better players by far.
This coming season, you'll be going into your 43rd year. What is the message you give the team the very first day of practice?
Well, the first, truthfully, we'll start with, honestly, in the fall with leadership stuff, and we will do a lot of leadership things, and they'll have to figure out how we're going to lead the team and who's going to lead the team. But our biggest message I tell them on the basketball court is enjoy it. I mean, you're only a junior 1 year, you're only a senior 1 year. And I think with this virus that we just had and all those poor athletes who missed their spring seasons, that you better enjoy it because, we tell them it's not going to be like this. I mean, it's not the same in college, and a lot of them won't play in college. And I think that we all need to be happier and more thankful that we're getting to do something we love. And, a great coach, Skip Prosser, who was a good friend of mine, he told me one time, he said, when you talk to your team, you need to remind every one of them how lucky they are to be out here doing something that a lot of kids cannot do, and to have their parents who support them to put them in a position to play basketball. And he was so right. And one of the things I try to tell myself, I try to enjoy the wins more. Not, even though I don't enjoy losses, I like to, I'll say I enjoy being with the kids there and that, because I love to see them grow through the losses and become men and really learn to deal with stuff. And I think it helps them later in life. I think athletes are more qualified and more ready to do a lot of stuff in the real world.
I think that's the one thing a lot of people, especially parents, and I was guilty as well, we don't enjoy the moment. And I think that's the one message that I give a lot of parents with their, if they have children that are playing high school sports and want to play at the collegiate level. I tell each and every one of them, enjoy it. Just let it happen organically. And I said, that's the best lesson I can give you. And I said, it goes by way too fast. And I tell that over and over to a lot of parents out there. But winding down, Coach, just past February, the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame recognized you with the prestigious Morgan Wootten Award for Lifetime Achievement in Coaching High School Basketball, one of the most prestigious awards today. What did that mean to you to win that?
To be honest, they had to tell me 2 times, because when they called to tell me, I honestly had to ask them to repeat it, because I was so shocked. It meant the world to me. Coaching at McDonald's game, I got to spend time with Morgan Wootten, and I got to meet him numerous times across at basketball clinics and stuff. And the one greatest thing about him was he never big timed you. He talked to you. If you had a question, he answered it. He made sure you understood what he was saying. So to get an award from the top, that's named after the top high school coach of all time, meant the world to me. And it meant the world to my program. And, my players, my assistant coaches, my family, all have something to do with that award. And I thrilled. I'm so thrilled. I get kind of emotional about it, because it is such a big award. And this year, unfortunately, with the virus, I didn't get to go to Houston, but we're playing in the Hall of Fame game, and we're playing Coach Wooten's son's team. And so it's going to be really special to go up there in January and play in that game and receive the award, and playing against Joe, who is a friend of mine also. And again, I can't even put it in words how special it was to me.
Well, Coach, I think today a lot of people will see why I consider you not only one of the greatest high school coaches in North Carolina history. I also think, we have to include the collegiate level, professional level. You will go down in a Hall of Fame as one of the best basketball coaches of all time at any level. And I think the thing about it is, Coach, is you've been so humble. You're a gentleman on and off the court. And the way you have treated me over the years, your friendship means so much to me. And the amount of love that I have for you as a person, as a coach is unbelievable. But you've done a great job in North Carolina. You got 1,080 wins, only 300 losses, a 78% winning percentage, 11 state championships. You're taking your team to the Nationals 2 years. You've done it all, but you've done it the right way. You emphasize teamwork, the academic part. And for college coaches out there, they love to recruit players that play for Freddy Johnson in Greensboro Day.
Well, Rick, I really appreciate you having me on today. But you didn't get me the chance to say should I foul a guy at the end of the game? Because one of my few losses to Forsyth Country Day was that Tyler, I should have fouled 3 different times. He hit 3-pointers at the end of regulation, the first overtime. He hit one at the end of the second overtime to beat me. So I've learned one thing from you, especially I need to foul. So.
I will never forget that game, Coach. It was unbelievable. We were down 3. Tyler hits a 3 to go into overtime. The first overtime, we're down 3. He hits another 3 to send it to the second overtime. And then again, we're down again. He hits another 2 or 3 to send it into the third overtime. And then he hits the free throws at the end. So
do me a favor.
That was one of the most memorable games I've ever watched.
If Jeff Smith goes on to watch this, cut that part out, because till this day, every year we talk about how we're going to do at the end of the game, and he just says Tyler Lewis. That's what he says to me. remember Tyler Lewis. So we foul now at the end of the game. So thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Coach.
Uh-huh.